Hi, I'm John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief.
And I'm Tom Renzulli, senior staff writer of South Jersey Beer Scene.
And you're watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Thank you for joining us as we share information, tips, and techniques that can make our business community and your business more successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to produce this show focusing on business in South Jersey. In just a moment, we will talk with John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief of South Jersey Beer Scene. John and his good friend Tom Renzulli, who serves as senior staff writer, started South Jersey Beer Scene as a way to write about and talk about everything that is happening in the region that relates to beer. The goal is to bring people information on the best of South Jersey's breweries, bars, bottle shops, and events. I've recently had the pleasure to get to know John, and I have known Tom for well over 40 years. They are both passionate about the business as well as beer, and what they can do to help our region move forward. It's time to find out just how they are helping to brew up business in South Jersey. So let's get right down to business with one of today's featured guests. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
For people that might not know what the South Jersey Beer Scene is, maybe you could briefly describe it.
South Jersey Beer Scene is a website dedicated to South Jersey's vibrant and growing beer scene, where you can go one place on the internet and find out what's going on everywhere in South Jersey.
Well, what motivated you and the crew to start this platform or start this initiative?
I've always had a bug in the back of my head that I needed to do something to write. I love to write and get something out there. And me and my wife Tara had discussed things, and we looked through some stuff, and we're sitting in a brewery one day, and I was like, there's nothing that ties us all together. Wouldn't this be cool? So I kind of talked to a few friends, and that's where Tom Renzulli came in. I had some early interventions with those guys to see if they thought it was viable. And the more that I thought about it, the more excited I got. And that was the summer of 2016. We just moved forward.
That's great. That's a great way to start the story too, right? In a place where you're writing about and covering. You mentioned Tom and you mentioned Tara, and of course you are a big part of this as the founder, co-founder. How many people does it take to mix this up? Because I know you have other writers, and
it takes a village, Joe.
Yeah. So you want to talk about how many people it takes to do this on the regular?
So in the beginning, Tom was my senior staff writer, and as he still is, and Karen wrote. Tara actually wrote some articles too, and she came up with our logo. My brother at South River Studios in Yardley has a internet web-based studio where he does some stuff, and he helped us with the website. And then we started that way. And then it takes all your friends and family to retweet, repost, and read your stuff to make sure that it gets out there. Because when you start this, we didn't know if anybody was going to read it. But through a little elbow grease and hard work, it's grown to where we know people are reading it, which is exciting for us.
Well, speaking of growth, this is always a question I like to ask people. You had a plan at the beginning of how you thought it was going to go. Did it follow the exact path of how you planned it, or is it kind of in another direction right now?
Well, Joe, I'm a genius, so yes. But no, actually, no. I don't think any business follows that path. We read business plans all the time, and where you start and where you finish, you may not have the same path, but you do have the same goal. I think that we just started as a website, and now we're a podcast, and we're so much more than just that. We do events, and we judge competitions, and our friend John Henderson has us doing the podcast stage over there at AC Beer Fest, which was a big break for us last year, and it's going to continue on. So yeah, I think that our path was, we didn't know where it was going to go, but we knew what we wanted to do, and we brought other parts of media in to accomplish that.
What's great about it is it sounds like it was an organic growth, because as you kind of, not mastered necessarily, but found yourself successful in certain areas of your plan, you were able to move into those other areas with partnering with some people, but also you're covering an industry that's very exciting right now.
Yeah, and we first started, we strictly based in Atlantic Cape and Cumberland County for Cumberland County's one brewery. We quickly started getting emails, hey, we're South Jersey too, from people in Camden and Burlington and Ocean. And another one of my writers, Vix Balo, just emails me out of the blue. He's like, I want to write for you. I'm the president of the Ocean County Homebrewers, and you don't come to Ocean County. So now Vic has become a vital part of what we do. So we've expanded, towards the Philadelphia area and to Southern Ocean County for the most part. And I think that's where we'll stay, because that's where we're good. But yeah, it's we started out small, and we've grown to where I think is where we're going to be.
Just a quick final question to this segment. I've watched you grow as an early adopter to your model. I really liked what you were doing. I'm an enthusiast myself. I do enjoy the breweries and what's going on. How do you balance doing what you just described to us with all the other facets of your life? How do you balance?
You know, we all have full-time jobs. This is our fun job. You know, we get, you know, we're interested in it. You know, it's a great industry with a lot of great people in it. And beer fans are crazy. They love everything about it. So it's not like work. So finding the time to do it really isn't that hard when it gets down to it. But, you know, we sit and work at night. I talk to Tom at 6:30 in the morning on my way to work a lot of days just to kind of get what's going on. I'm constantly sending stuff to Tara for her to read. So it really is, you know, a fun thing for all of us. We really enjoy what we do.
John, I want to thank you for being part of South Jersey Business today. We're going to come back with Tom Ronzulli.
Thanks so much for having me, Joe.
We'll be right back after this short break with more business talk with Tom Ronzulli, senior staff writer of South Jersey Beer Scene on South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. We're back with one of today's featured guests, Tom Ronzulli, senior staff writer of South Jersey Beer Scene. Tom, welcome to South Jersey Business.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got involved with the South Jersey Beer Scene?
Well, I know this is going to sound funny, but it came about in a brewery, actually. John approached me at one of our favorite breweries and told me his idea. And he had known that I have done some beer tastings and beer pairings at my house, and I was all on board.
What are some of the areas that you focus on primarily in your role as senior staff writer at South Jersey Beer Scene?
At the beginning, I did a lot of beer pairings with food. I'd cook food, and we would go to breweries and pick the right beers to go with them. But after a while, it really exploded, and I got into more of going to interview brewers and just whatever was needed.
Did the craft brewing people, the individuals that you went to their location, were they excited about the food pairings as well? It sounds like that's a natural fit.
They loved it. They thought it was great. For one, I was cooking all the food, and it was great. And, you know, it was just another avenue to showcase their beer.
Now, we kind of jumped ahead. Should have probably asked you this question first, but I would consider you an expert, at least in my world, you're an expert in craft beer. How did that come about? How long does it take you to reach that level where at least you feel comfortable and the people around you feel comfortable calling you an expert?
It's a tough job, but I'm an electrician, so there's one thing, you'll never know everything, so it's always a work in progress. But from probably 20, 30 years ago, I was always a Budweiser guy, but I always went for the green bottle sometimes, and from there, and then I moved to Arizona, and that's where it really caught my interest, and that's where I got hooked.
Now, as part of the South Jersey Beer Scene, clearly you don't review beers. It's part of your rule. You do not do that, but you're asked to judge a lot. And I guess the fact that you're so well versed in the different types of beers and the different tastes of beers, and knowing what you like, and also what is appropriate based on the research that you've done over the last 30 years, is that judging something you look forward to when you get an opportunity to judge beers?
I do. I really jump at it. Whenever somebody asks me, as long as it will fit into my schedule, I'm excited to do it.
Were you excited and surprised a little bit about the response? We talked to John earlier in the show about how this thing has taken off. Were you surprised by the response you got from not only the customers, but actually the beverage industry itself?
Yes and no. I knew that, there was a definite need for it. But as far as how fast it happened, definitely. I mean, it just exploded.
How much fun are you having?
It's so much fun. It makes my regular job bearable.
When you're home and you're looking at a dish, and now we're going to dive a little bit into this food pairing thing, because it is very interesting how that came about, and that was kind of the genesis of how you got involved. Do you often look at a dish, a food, or do you look at a beer first and what will pair with it better, or do you look at the food first and what would pair?
Mostly the taste of it first. And me and my wife, Karen, she'll do it with us. We'll be at a restaurant. Like, oh, so this beer would be great with this dish. And we do it all the time.
Now, I know your wife Karen's involved in the organization, as is John's wife Tara. How great is it to work on something outside of normal work with your spouse?
It's fun. I mean, we have a great time with it. And, like I said, it makes our normal jobs bearable.
And you also get to share ideas across the dinner table as well as across the brewery bar.
Yep. And planning, we try to go at least one time a weekend, go to a new brewery or something new, or if there's a new beer release, we try to go check it out.
And you also get to turn that passion into the profession by covering it, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's great. Thanks for sharing your role at South Jersey Beer Scene with us today.
But thanks for having me, Joe.
Now we're going to put John to the test with the M4 Big Money question.
I think he's up for it.
Stay tuned as we will put John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief of South Jersey Beer Scene, to the test with the M4 Big Money question when we return with more South Jersey Business. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you are covering the South Jersey beer scene, you need to know how to mix up all four M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money question with one of today's featured guests, John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief of South Jersey Beer Scene. So John, let's break them down. Let's talk a little bit about your management style.
You have to be collaborative with your staff and trust them, but you got to be able to make the tough decisions in the end. You and you alone are the one responsible for what's getting put out as content.
Absolutely, that's a great way to manage. How about the second M, marketing, traditional forms?
Traditional forms of marketing, they're so important today. I mean, everything is so fast. You got to get your name out there. You got to have it so it pops and get the word out. And grassroots with all your friends and family, so important for our growth.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're doing a great job with that. Sometimes people don't like to talk about this third M, but it's part of the mix, so we got to talk about it. Money, how important is that to what you guys are trying to accomplish?
Well, you can't get anything done without money. I mean, it's impossible in this landscape. You have so many people that you're competing for the same set of eyes on. So yeah, you have to inject money into your program and make sure it looks good and make sure you're spending it wisely.
That's great. All right, now media. We're going to spend a little time on this one because you not only have captured it so well, but you get a lot of media about what you're doing as well. So how important is that, and what forms of media, specifically social media, do you use to get your word out?
So social media, this is craft beer scene has just exploded. So every brewery has a social media person who reaches out to us with press releases. You got to kind of pick and choose what benefits my site and what will benefit your readers. There's a lot of information out there, and we got to make sure that we get the best information out there. Not everything warrants a press release, but unfortunately in this day and age, that's how you get people into your business. Use your social media wisely. Don't pound it down people's throats. I think that's the one thing that people do, a couple times a day, maybe, but you can't just keep going to the same well over and over again. Mix your message up.
Not only mix your message per platform, but across the platforms, correct?
The platform, correct.
It's a very visual medium that we deal in, and you guys do an excellent job capturing that. How much of the photography is stuff that you're generating versus what people are sending you?
Well, when we first started, it was all us. Tara would have the camera, Tom would have the camera, I would have the camera. Tara did a ton of it. Right now, a lot of the stuff is given to us. I like to use our stuff whenever we can because it's unique. Not everybody's going to have it. So on my end, that's what I prefer.
Yeah, and a picture's worth 1,000 words, especially on some of the sites where you don't have a lot of characters to deal with. You're just looking at pictures.
Right.
Yeah. So Facebook's important to you. Instagram's important to you. Is there anything that I'm missing?
Our podcast.
Oh,
our podcast is really, really important. It's given us a whole different forum. It's the radio of the hip kids now. You can just pick and choose the shows that you want to do. It's enabled us to get really good guests on shows because they want to be heard and get our message out to a bigger audience. We have listeners that download our podcast all across the United States just to learn about this little area that is a hotbed of beer right now to find out what's going on. It's a really, really exciting medium that we love. And next step, video.
Absolutely. With the podcast, they're archived, so people can go back and look at those when they want to find a certain guest or a certain topic, correct?
Absolutely. They're archived on all of the major sites and also as well on the website. There's a podcast tab. You can go there. All 26 of them are archived from day one.
How important is a healthy mix of all four of the M's, management, marketing, money, and media, to the success of your business?
I think you have to put a little bit of credence on everything because if you're too heavy in one, you're missing something else. everybody is competing for the same market. And it's really, really hard if you're just over managing it. You know, you got to let things happen. If you're just pumping too much stuff out in the media, you just become, you know, just like the wallpaper. So you have to pick your spots and do everything that's involved to, you know, be successful. And I think that's really, really helped us, our focus on all four.
I want to thank you for sharing your M4 Big Money question today with us.
Great. Thanks for letting me do it.
Thanks, John. There you have it. John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief of South Jersey Beer Scene's thoughtful and well-brewed mix of management, marketing, money, and media. We'll be right back with today's business drill on South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Welcome back. On today's business drill, we will reflect on a few lessons we've learned from businesses that are created to support other businesses. You may have entire entities spring up as industries grow and develop. These industry-specific companies support industries they are connected to in many ways. They can do this through hosting conferences and events that may train and educate the businesses in the category. They also may cover trends and topics that are of interest to the industry. Here is the value and vision of connecting businesses. Just as the groups and businesses built to support industries, you can borrow from some basic things these groups use to build your own customer base and following. 4 simple, inspired tips you can learn from and use to grow your business. Identify the need of what you offer. This is a good idea regardless of what type of products or services you offer. If there is no identified need to help keep a group informed, then chances are that businesses might not feel they need or want to gather to better their industry. In your business, this is also true. If you are attempting to sell a product or service where there is no need, your business model may be challenging. Dig into the data. While it may be easier if you have a working list of potential people to target, as the groups supporting industry do, it does remind us that even though it may take more work, if you dig into the data, the information to reach your potential customers is out there. Get organized and get the word out. This may be the hardest and maybe even the most costly part of these inspired lessons. You have all the best intentions to get organized. Try to discipline yourself by setting and meeting realistic goals each day. Then, as your plan starts to take real shape, identify low-cost and no-cost marketing efforts first and use those. Then utilize well-researched and well-thought-out fee-based marketing efforts to get the word out. Create real opportunity and continue to grow. If you create real value and opportunities for the people that you are hoping to be your customer base, the results for all can be mutually beneficial. The value and opportunities you create for customers have the potential to bring more growth opportunities for your business and therefore create more value. So let's review. Number 1, identify the need of what you offer. Number 2, dig into the data. Number 3, get organized and get the word out. And number 4, create real opportunity and continue to grow. So there you have it, 4 quick tips inspired by the value and vision of connecting businesses. I hope these observations of groups that support industries can help support the growth opportunities for your business. We'll be right back. Tom, we meet so many businesses in our region that are involved in their community, and South Jersey Beer Scene is really no different. You're involved with the community or with the beer community, but you're also helping the community through the work you do. Can you talk about some of the examples of getting involved in helping the community?
Well, as you know, every brewery is involved with the community and fundraising and One of the things we've done, we did St. Baldrick with Select Tide. Whatever they need us to advertise for them, we do. That's one way of helping out. Like I said, every brewery is involved in the community and some sort of fundraising, and that's pretty much how we help.
So that's a critical part, I think, of what we're talking about here, because as an extension, they'll let you know about an event, and because of your reach through your readership and your viewers, as well as your listeners, you can talk about an event and really get critical numbers and attention behind it to help that event be more successful, correct?
Correct, yeah. I mean, that's part of the way we feel good about ourselves, and it's easy for us. It's just advertising for them, and whether it's showing up at the event or helping out or volunteering, that's,
Well, that's another way you help the community. There's so many great events, everything from the beer tastings to the beer events to the fundraisers, as you mentioned. So I think you're putting your time and energy into that, and also as a recognized brand name in the industry right now, that lends a lot of support to making the event more successful.
correct. I mean, they see that we're associated with it, so it helps everybody. It helps us get our name out, helps whatever function's happening, helps that out.
Now let's go back a little bit to the St. Baldrick's that you mentioned, because that's a great charity that helps a lot of people. How did you guys decide to make that one of the ones that you wanted to spotlight and be involved in?
We had been approached from the guys at Slack Tide, and no, I didn't donate. This is all natural.
But the look is there.
Yeah, the look's there. And, you know, my wife's in the cancer field, so it's just natural to help out in that. And we've all been touched by cancer some way or the other with somebody we know or somebody in our family.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's one way to help.
And the reference you were making, of course, for people that might not be familiar with how St. Baldrick works, is people actually volunteer to shave their head. And I didn't do it for Baldrick's either, but I should continue this look and continue to support that charity. But it's a great way to show unity in supporting people that do, unfortunately, because of the disease of cancer, lose their hair for whatever reason.
Correct.
So I guess the Slack Tide people came to you. You decided to get involved. Was that one of the first ones you did, or just one of many that you've done?
One of the first ones we did. Paul Schulte kind of runs the whole thing, and he's a teacher down there in Lower Cape May, and he bartends sometimes at Slack Tide, and it was his event held there, and we were more than happy to help out.
Well, let's make this real easy for people. You're covering the industry. You're covering the events within the industry. So if there's a nonprofit that may be viewing that it's holding a future event at a brewery, and the brewery might not reach out to you, it's appropriate for the nonprofit to reach out?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'll be great. Then that's a great way to do this. Okay. Well, I want to thank you for sharing what you're doing within the community to help the community, and continue to do what you and John and the team are doing at South Jersey Beer Scene.
Well, thanks, Joe.
That was Tom Renzulli, Senior Staff Writer of South Jersey Beer Scene, and his contributions to supporting the local South Jersey community. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. Welcome back. And now it's time to shine the spotlight on the South Jersey beer scene and gain some extra illumination on the work they do covering the craft beer scene right here in South Jersey. John, can you talk a little bit about what the South Jersey Beer Scene is?
We're a news and information website and affiliated podcast that covers all the news for South Jersey's vibrant and really growing fast craft beer scene.
Now, that's a pretty big area, South Jersey.
It is.
How do you do what you do?
Well, it's not just me, and it's not just Tom, it's not just Tara, it's just not Karen. We have 5 or 6 other writers that help us, led by Vix Balo, who is our Ocean County representative and runs our whole home brewing outfit. And I listen to their suggestions and let them go out and do what they want to do and get the news from where they're at and spread it amongst everyone here in South Jersey. It's a big area, and things are going on all over the place. We kind of unite that area.
Yeah, and plus it makes it vibrant.
Exactly.
The third piece of this would be who do you do it for? So who makes up your customer base of the readership and the people that are listening and watching what you're doing?
So first and foremost, it's just craft beer enthusiasts, not just here in South Jersey, but all over. It's regional. We're a destination for alcohol tourism now with the wineries, distilleries, and breweries, and it's a good place for them to get information about what's going on in South Jersey.
How receptive have the breweries been to your platform and your coverage of the industry?
Almost to a brewery, almost to a person. It's been overwhelmingly supportive for us. Before we did this, we went and talked to people and were like, will you even talk to us? Like, do we have any credibility? So we had a lot of friends that we knew in the business, and they helped us out and get a start to give us some credibility so other people can see what they're doing. I get routine calls from people that own breweries and bars and bottle shops, and as Tom does, and Tara gets emails, and Karen does, because we have the respect. We've earned the respect because we do what we do truthfully and enthusiastically for the community.
Well, 100% you're building a community, which brings us to the more motivational part of this spotlight. Why do you guys do what you do? Why do you do what you do?
I love writing. I love craft beer. I love doing stuff with my wife and my friends, and it ties it all together. It's a fun topic. People are excited about it. It's growing, and it's something we didn't have in New Jersey really till 5 years ago. Well, 6 years ago. But I mean, it's something that's really growing that people love, and it's great to be a part of it. We're right in the middle of the mix. We get invited to a lot of things. That's the perk. But I mean, just to be enthusiastic about something. It's like when you were a kid, you were enthusiastic about baseball. You'd ride down the field and play pickup games all week. This is the same thing for us. It's adult baseball in a sense, that we do this because we love what we do.
I think it's great that you can combine your passion and your profession, and also the way you described why you do what you do. That might be one of the best formulas for success in any business that I've ever heard. John, I want to thank you for allowing us to turn the spotlight on the South Jersey beer scene.
Thanks for having us.
Once again, the spotlight here at South Jersey Business gave us a better look into the South Jersey beer scene and what they offer. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. The crew here at South Jersey Business appreciates those of you that tune into the show each week. From time to time, we receive questions from our viewers, and we always do our best to respond to your inquiries. So it's time for Q&A. And here's this week's question. Dear South Jersey Business, I have been running my retail business for over 5 years. It makes enough money to allow my immediate family to live comfortably. Recently, a relative has asked me to start a second location with them as a partner. I'm really not interested in doing so, but how can I say this without affecting our relationship? Any suggestions? That is not an uncommon situation to be in. If you truly have no interest in another location or adding a partner, then honesty is most likely the best answer. While saying, I'm not interested is the easiest answer because you are concerned about damaging your family relationship, my additional suggestion would be to have a logical and easily understandable reason ready should you be asked why you are not interested. One of the easiest ways to answer that is to just say you are not able to take on the risk of a second location. And because you actually built and grew a business over the past 5 years, I am quite certain you are more than familiar with risk. I hope that helps answer your question. We'll be right back. Well, that's the show. We had an opportunity to talk with John Kashu, co-founder and editor-in-chief, and Tom Renzulli, senior staff writer of South Jersey Beer Scene. We answered a viewer question and even talked about businesses that exist to support other businesses during our business drill. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next week. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.